Do we have a quorum?
Sorry, I couldn't get my computer going. So,
Hi, Vicky.
hello, Susan.
Ms. Siebert, we're ready to go. Thank you for your patience,
Okay.
all.
Thank you. And we have a quorum, correct? Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
All
We have 8 of the 10.
great. All right. Hi, hello, everyone, and happy Wednesday and all that good stuff. I want to thank everyone for being here and thank everyone for participating in Celebrate Wildwood. And a special thanks to Joe and Gary, Bree, Travis, and everyone. You guys really worked super hard. And it was a great event. So thank you. Okay. Can we do a roll call, please?
Commission Member Hudson, Commission Member Stevens,
Here.
Commission Member Ward, Commission Member Helfrey,
Here,
Commission Member Tripp, Commission Member Lawson,
Here.
Council Liaison Joe Garitano,
Here.
Commission Member Wilson,
Here.
and Chair Siebert.
Here. Thank you. All right,
There-
the next
Pardon
thing
me.
on the agenda is approval from the, of the minutes from September 8th.
Madam Chair, if I may, Ms. Hudson's
Yes.
back on the screen. So Gary, would you call her?
Commission Member Hudson,
I'm here.
yeah, I had her checked off.
Thank you.
Okay, minutes from September 8th. We need an approval of those.
I will make a
Anybody?
motion. I'll make a motion to accept those minutes.
Okay, is there a second? Anyone? Is there a second to approve the September 8th minutes?
I
I'll
second.
approve them. I'll second. So all in favor? Aye.
I,
Okay. Any opposed? Okay, they're approved. All right, the next thing is we're going to talk about our combined 2021 Celebrate Wildwood and the Art Fair. Are there is anyone online besides us tonight? Mr. Bunich?
Madam
No?
Chair. Madam Chair,
Mhm.
Mr. McGowan is an attendee, a gentleman from the Boy Scouts. I've been advised that I need to only have commission members on the screen as panelists. And Mr. McGowan can speak during public participation, or if the commission would like, we can promote him at the appropriate time to give his summary.
Fine. Okay.
But other
All
than
right.
McGowan, there's no other public.
Okay. All right. What I can see on the agenda is A under section 5, and that would be your department. You're going to go first. Your overview.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. And Madam Chair and members of the commission, the Department of Planning and Parks, that being primarily Mr. Cruz, Ms. Kelchin, and I, along with Ms. Parker, would like to thank you all for your efforts in making the September 25th event a reality. We cannot claim the good weather was anything that we had anything to do with, but it certainly made the day very special for a lot of people just because it was nice to be outside and enjoy the sunshine and the cool weather. Gary's put together a summary of all the different components of the event, and I thought it was appropriate to include it in tonight's packet of information, but also I just like him to go through it very briefly and kind of just let you know what he was thinking when he developed it and just why he believes the moving parts keep getting greater and greater for this event. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Gary.
Yes, what I did was I just put this together for Joe, and so he can answer questions of the city council and so forth. But he thought it was appropriate to share with you. I want to stress that this is just a brief summary. This is just a general summary of what we did, or of what you have to coordinate and organize and monitor for the entire day. Each one of those categories that you have there under the booths, the food vendors, the entertainment, and the on-site trailer, the ice trailer, the meat coolers, and so forth. Each one of those has a whole litany of things that you have to monitor throughout the day and keep working. So, I mean, we'll get into it later, but the food booths were so busy that myself personally, we didn't have time to go to the food booth because all this other stuff that are before you on this list were going on. And Joe was either getting called, or I was getting called, or Bree was getting called, and having to answer questions or go to certain booths to make adjustments or repairs or call the electricians or something like that. So we thought this would just give you a good idea of everything that went on that day. Of special note, if you kind of look at the parade, the number that I came up with was 594 moving parts. That means people and vehicles and everything that were included. What's not included is what it took to set this up on the morning of the event. The parking lot, while a great place to gather the parade and organize the parade, proved not big enough for all the people that were dropping off participants and dropping off vehicles. The parents weren't dropping their kids off for their part in the parade. They were pulling on the lot and they were waiting with their kids in the car until everybody assembled. And before the parade got started, that lot was pretty full. And it was getting really close to not being able to handle the workload at all. But that 594 moving parts, that is just minimum, because we figured there was a lot more people, a lot more vehicles that showed up. Like originally, we only had 17 people registered for the parade. Ultimately, we had 28 people that registered for the parade, and that we didn't have until 2 days before the parade. And then, of course, the golf carts getting dropped off the morning before and getting them organized, and then all the preparation for the parking lots for the parades and all this stuff. But the point of explaining all this is this was a week. We as a commission have been working on this for a year. The week preceding the event on that Saturday started at Monday morning at 5 o'clock. And it went through 5 o'clock to almost 7 o'clock each day until Saturday morning came and we got it lined up. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
Have you, I do, have you thought about, and I'm sure you have, areas that we could do better for next year?
There's always areas that we can do better, which I'm sure we'll
I know,
discuss.
but specific ones.
Actually, Ms. Siebert, that day went so much better than I ever anticipated.
Well, good.
It worked out well. I mean, I can't tell you how many times Joe and I just looked at each other through the day and shook our heads because we just couldn't believe that it was working out so well. So,
Do we know about how many people came? Do we have a ballpark on that?
you know, I haven't even discussed that with Joe. I don't know if Sergeant Windling could offer anything with that regards, but there was a lot of people, Ms. Siebert, a lot of people throughout the day.
Okay.
So Ms. Siebert, I can answer your question probably. I think Gary's hesitant too, maybe, I don't know. But I'm sure in conversations with some of the commission members, I noted that we had nothing but a problem with the band that performed in the evening. From start to finish, They were very demanding. They were uncooperative. And at the end of the day, left the stage almost 25 minutes early. What that meant for us, Gary, Bree, others that were the city staff, we had to make a quick decision. Do we ask people that are at the concert to wait 25 minutes for the fireworks? Or do we get the fireworks underway while we still have a good crowd? And so from my perspective, if the commission should choose otherwise, I will honor their wishes, but I will never bring a band in from outside St. Louis again.
I agree with that. And one thing that I did not appreciate was their PSA announcement, their public service announcement. I thought that was totally inappropriate. I don't ever recall being at a public event in Wildwood where that happened.
What was it, Susan? What was the announcement?
Oh, they brought up people and asked for donations for causes. And they said normally they didn't do that, but since they had the stage, they were going to do it. And he was adamant about that, the main guy in the band. And I thought, wait a minute, you need permission to do this. You just can't get up there on a stage and start requesting funds and donations from the audience that haven't been approved. I mean, who knows? Some people didn't know the organizations. They could have been scams. You don't know. And I thought that was highly inappropriate. And that should have been cleared with the city, not just spur of the moment. That's my opinion. Yes.
I just want to concur. I wasn't there, but any performer who's being paid to perform is not there on their own business. So
Right.
they're being paid to perform, and so they don't get to put their own mission forward.
Excellent point, Corey.
Do we know, maybe a question for Joe and Gary, like what they were collecting for? I did get a resident like day after asked me like how much was collected. And I asked, well, what do you mean? And so they were like, my understanding it was for backstoppers. Is that right, Joe? What do you know about this? Like, so we can connect the dots here.
I'll do the best I can. Since we had such a, let's say, a acrimonious relationship with the band, when they finally arrived on Friday evening, Gary went over to talk to them, and they basically said that they understood that they had been problematic and they wanted to do something nice for the community. And the thought was that they had done this elsewhere and been well received. We didn't necessarily endorse it. And the way it was explained, I think, to Gary, then to I, is that it'll be just, we'll announce the organizations, basically say it's the Backstoppers and then a local charitable organization, and then we'll get on with the show. Well, obviously, after about 10 minutes of hearing that gentleman just keep blasting on the microphone, it was like, this is wrong. And like I say, it was just from start to finish, they were a problem that we didn't know was going to exist. And for the most part, we know the money went to the proper organizations because we had some assistance from the county police department. But like I say, the band just was a problem, and there's not much you can do. I mean, if you pull them off the stage, there's no entertainment. So we were kind of stuck
Right.
with what we had.
Well, maybe, for next year, Joe and Gary, you guys got to start learning how to sing. Because if you have to jump up on stage, we'll have a backup plan.
Well, that's very kind of you to think we're capable, but then if I would have been singing, the fireworks guys would have shot at me. So, but I do apologize. Like I say, we had some forewarning about the problem the band was creating for our sound technician, and then just the unresponsiveness. But at that stage, when it's Thursday evening and you have the event on Saturday, we were kind of hard pressed to figure out a way
Right.
to kind of, what are we going to do now? And now was to go with what we got and make the best of it. But like I say, there's Dr. Chevegas, there's Fat Pocket. Those are bands that bring their own crowd. They play to the crowd. They're local bands. And we won't go outside St. Louis unless you all bring us something that you feel is so good and strongly endorse in the future.
I
Well,
agree with that, because I was there for the performance as well and felt that they talked too much. I think too, like you said, going with a band that we already have experience with and that does a good job and also has a lot of variety. There, mostly it was country western, which is great, but somebody that has a lot of variety in their music lineup, I think would appeal to more people.
Yeah, I
Good
agree
point.
too. Yeah.
And the sad part of all of this is to meet the demands of what we called our headliner band. We actually asked Teddy McCready to end his show about a half hour early. And he did a great job.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I say, I was thinking when I was driving home Saturday night, I sure wish we would have had Teddy at 6:45 and had these jokers either
Right.
early in the day or not even here. But
Right.
And just to speak to that, this is Karen. Teddy said that they just had a wonderful time. They felt the city staff was just overly accommodating and such a great experience with the city. And he mentioned that they would love to participate again in the future. And then he went on to say, I'd love to be in consideration to be the headliner. And we could talk about if I need to, add more band members, another guitar or whatever it was to round that out, to participate. He said, we could do just all different types of genres of music to really mix it up if there was some interest. I told him it was probably too early to talk about that, but know that he put that out there. Thank
I'd
you.
like to make a motion that we put them as the headliner. Sorry, Vicky, for jumping ahead of you. We can put them as the headliner next year. Why not?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's a good point. Why not?
Why
One
couldn't
other-
we reward them with that position, since they were so accommodating and they did everything right and were great for everyone. So why wouldn't we remember now to bring them in as a headliner next year? Anybody think that's a bad idea?
Well,
No, it's a good idea.
I would
Vicky.
second that, and I would like to say just a few things about that band. I was not there at night, so I did not see what went on with the second band. But I will tell you, while I know I don't have a very good singing voice, I found myself walking booth to booth and singing with that band. I don't know if the other people appreciated it very much, although there were a lot of other people walking and singing to that band when they were on stage as well.
Which band, Vicky?
The first
Which
band that played all day. They
Oh,
were
Teddy, yeah.
fantastic. And I mean, I was walking through and I'd be humming or singing the song and I'd be walking past somebody else humming and singing it. So it was really, they really got everybody. The only comments that I heard were from the booth on the very front line that faced the stage. And they really weren't complaints. I don't want you to think that they were complaining. The comments were made by those booths, those vendors. I wish the music wasn't so loud, but every single one of them that said that then followed it up with, but man, are they good. So, I just can't tell you guys, I think it was a fantastic day, so.
One question, that band that we did have that was a problem, is there a follow-up survey or anything like that that we could respond to?
You can go to their Facebook page and flame them there if you want.
Well, Ms. Siebert, I think Gary has a comment relating to Ms. Helfrey's statements. And then I have something to add regarding what we're doing about the Mcewen Band.
Okay. Gary?
Just so everybody knows that we anticipated right from the get-go. Well, I shouldn't say right from the get-go, because right from the get-go, we didn't know we were going to have that many booths. But when we realized how many booths we had and we were running out of space and the way we had to set them up, we knew right away that those booths, the last 10 booths in that line, were probably going to be annoyed with the music because they were so close to the stage. But that's just what we had to do for that event, because really we didn't expect that many booths to respond. It was just, so next year we'll know that from sure, and we'll have to figure out another kind of a lineup. And I'm going to say one more thing about the Mcewen Band. For 2.5 weeks before the event, I was developing ulcers with this band because it was just nerve-wracking and frustrating, the stuff that was going on behind the scenes. And
were they demanding a lot?
Oh my gosh, beyond a lot. And our sound technician was a very good mediator because he deals with this sort of thing all the time. However, when they showed up on Friday, the guy said all the right things. I even went to Joe and said, I think things are going to be just fine, because the guy said all the right things. And he said all the right things all the way up until the performance started on Saturday night. And then he just turned colors and took off on his own. So it was just really frustrating. I'm pretty sure that beyond the commission members, beyond us telling you what's going on, that many people probably didn't notice what was going on, and the evening was probably just fine with some inconvenience. But I think Joe can share with you what we're doing with the Mcewen Band and probably some of the benefits that we might get for next year, which is why your motion for Teddy McCready, which I like. I know Teddy very well. I like Teddy. I love his performances, and I'm all with you having him be a main performer. But Joe might share something with you that might influence that.
Well, and again, knowing the frustration that all of us experience with the Mcewen Band, and that ultimately they were booked through Contemporary Productions, Steve Cross, our city administrator, and Gary contacted Contemporary Productions the beginning of the week after the event, like Monday or Tuesday, and basically explained our frustration, and that the fact that we, as the city, should not be the one only taking the hit for a bad performance. And so what Contemporary Productions, I believe, is going to do is they're going to refund their commission from the performance to the city. And then next year, they promise that they'll basically make us whole through reductions in whatever performers we book for, whether it's the concert series during the summer months, Celebrate Wildwood, etc. So they're going to try.
Wonderful. Well, good. I'm glad. I mean, that's great to hear, because it's an accommodation to Wildwood. You know, because we've dealt, I would imagine, with Contemporary quite a few times, haven't we?
They've been our primary go-to production company since we basically began providing concerts on a regular basis. And they've been nothing but professional through all of this, because they also experienced the same frustration working with the Mcewen Band. But I would probably differ from Gary. If the commission likes to have Teddy McCready as our headliner, we'll use up that goodwill from Contemporary Productions through the year of 2022.
Okay. Well, good. Good suggestion. Corey, thank you.
Madam Chair, we
Okay.
have a motion on the floor with a second. There needs to be a voice vote by the commission members.
Okay. All right, all in favor of this motion of McCready being the headliner for 2022? All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion's carried. They're it. We need to tell them that. They'll feel good.
So, Madam Chair and members of the commission, I have two more things that would be under item A of tonight's agenda.
Okay,
I don't know if you all got the feeling before the parade started on Saturday, September 25th, but I actually think it's getting some pretty good momentum. I was very pleased with how the community responded to the short notice and just the enthusiasm of people that showed up that I talked to while they were waiting for the parade to get underway and then get in line and go through the parade route. So I think we can do better on the parade route. I'm not sure if it's going back to Schnucks Wildwood Crossing, but we can figure out something better, I think, in the future. That's number two. And then the final one is, just not a level of frustration, but we did reach out to all of our local restaurants. And I truly believe they would want to participate, but I also truly believe they are shorthanded in staffing. And we heard, and Gary heard multiple times, we can't have two businesses running on the same day. And they chose to stay in their brick and mortar locations. Now the exceptions was Benedetto's, which was able to do both because they're right on Main Street as well as Milk and Honey. So those are the things I saw that I'd like to work on and do better in 2022. Thank you.
all right. So now,
Vicky.
Susan, can I make a comment, please?
yeah, well, the next section is us.
Wait, Vicky,
comment.
wait, Susan, let
Yeah,
Vicky.
I know.
talk.
Go ahead.
Vicky, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I wanted to make a comment about the parade. I wanted to say I thought it was a super lot of fun. I don't know that anybody outdid Joe. Gosh darn it! I thought he did great too. I was hoping we'd put him under with the decorations, but that's okay. I did have first of all, the route absolutely needs to be longer because I almost wonder if everybody was even out before we started pulling into the front end. The people at the front of the parade route kept stopping so much. We never really got going. And the Moolah Shrine guys behind us, it was so funny. You could see they were just itching to get going and they just couldn't get a spot to get moving. So my friendly suggestion would be hopefully that next year we can get a little longer of a parade route. And maybe if the council people are going to be stopping and stuff, maybe we either scatter them throughout the parade or we put them towards the back because it really was hard. And the other thing doesn't relate to the parade, but it was a comment that was made by 3 different people to me. And that was, and none of the people live in town center, they all live in different parts of Wildwood, who said there were no signs anywhere that told them about it. And I said to them, well, I told each one of them that it was mentioned in the West magazine, it was mentioned in that mailer we sent out, and they said that, well, 2 of them said they never saw those. The third person said, oh, I did see that, you're right. But they all did say they weren't any signs, and one of them was someone who lived over in that Wild Horse neighborhood. So as beautiful as an event as we had, I just sure wish there was a way to get it more in front of people, because there were a lot of people in Wildwood that didn't really know it was going on, and it was just fantastic. So that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to jump in on that. So, and I think that issue that Vicky mentions, it feels like we always face it because the parade and all the activities were also in the Gazette that was mailed to every single home in Wildwood. So I mean, I think we try as much as we can to get the word out, but at some point, there's always going to be somebody that just doesn't read the materials or doesn't see the social media or doesn't get the city's e-newsletter or doesn't get West News Magazine. And even the signs in the neighborhoods for those that put up signs. So unfortunately, I mean, I don't know unless we accelerate next time what kind of advertising we do. I think it's just always an ongoing challenge because people miss out on such a wonderful opportunity. With regards to the parade route, I mean, I'm not yet, jury's out still on whether the short route or the long route is better. I mean, it was nice, the short route. I think it compacted everything a bit. I totally agree with Vicky. I mean, I was at the very end of the council members, Ward 8. Man, I was crawling in that golf cart because everybody in front of me was just stopped and giving out candy. And I felt bad because I had the bagpipes behind me. And those guys were just like itching to move too, and they just couldn't. And so I, even at one point, once we got onto Taylor, when I just saw that we were moving, I just drove around a couple of the golf carts, and I'm like, I'm going to just keep going because, I got to give space to the people behind me. So either we do some kind of training to the golf cart drivers to say, look, hey, we need you to keep it moving. And another thing too, once I passed those golf carts, what was happening at Taylor Road once you got to Main Street, the crowd was taking over the street. So I couldn't even get through. Like the crowd was basically down to like just the width. You only had the width of a golf cart. So that to me was like, I was telling people like, get back on the sidewalk because there's still a whole parade behind us that needs to come through. So again, I think that's either we just got to do some education training on the drivers and those on the parade route, like, what kind of pace we want. Vicky, I thought the same thing too. Maybe we spread them out a little bit because if they want to give candy out, maybe that might be a way, but it's just part of the learning curve, with the golf carts, so I think we could figure something out.
Okay, I have a couple comments that I'd like to make. First of all, on the signage. In listening today, all those signs that were going to be, that I brought back to City Hall, we're going to reuse. Why can't we get more printed and just put some going down 109, a couple days before? Just like we do in the subdivisions. Get permission from the city to put up these signs.
Also on Manchester Road.
And Manchester Road, some of the major arteries that are heavily traveled, I think if you put them out a few days before, people will see them.
Well, I think if I could, just speaking from the council's perspective, I think we just have to balance it because the city has rules around signs and we can't be breaking our own rules, when it comes to that.
I agree, but this is a one-day event. It's not a political sign. It's not anything like that. It's in the ground, and whoever puts them out on their street or their portion of the road picks them up on Sunday. That's all.
There may be some options, like, definitely, like we do that with coffee with the mayor. There, you'll see a couple just scattered out here or there, just a few.
Yeah.
But that's something that I think, maybe could be looked at. So I just wanted to chime in because I figured, I've heard this one come up in other terms from businesses as well, that, they would like to put signs up.
All right. The other thing, I talked to almost every vendor that was there. And a lot of and I thanked people. If I walked by and somebody was shopping, I thanked them for coming. And everyone, I don't recall anyone not wanting this event the latter part of September. No one wants to go back to August. They were saying it is too hot. True, September could have been warmer, but the chances at least of a cooler evening, a cooler day are there. So that's number one. The fireworks. If we do have it the latter part of September, we need to start the fireworks at 8 o'clock. We need to start them earlier. People were going home. You know, it got to be dark and they were going home, I noticed. The parade route needs to be longer. And the other thing is, if people are going to hand out candy, then maybe walk alongside your golf cart rather than be in the golf cart and have people come to you. You walk alongside your cart and hand candy out. That was a suggestion. And as far as food goes, I think maybe we look into some food trucks. Some real, food trucks that you see in the city. That was because they were running out of food, and in the early afternoon, part of it was because we had a really great attendance. It was a gorgeous day. But so those are my comments. Anyone else?
I have some
Libby?
comments. I'm just going to kind of start from the top. I agree. I think September is the right time of year to do this for weather. I also think people were more connected with their community after being back in school, not people going on vacations. Just bigger groups of people seem to come out and support the event. I was actually the parade judge, so I saw the entire parade, and I actually liked the route along Main Street because there was a lot of participation, a lot of excitement. I'm sure there were issues with the whole groups funneling in. And so maybe we can address that in the future. Totally agree about maybe separating the council members or providing guidelines for the golf carts or handing out candy. And some other feedback that I got is that we need to have a clearer description of what you should be putting your floats together for. If there's the theme of the parade, we need to have a clearer description of what that is. And for those that were being judged, to let them know in advance what those categories are that they're being judged on. And then as a follow-up, to send a letter or contact the winners of the parade, because we heard that the winner didn't even know that they won several days later. I thought the booths had a lot of good variety, a lot of mixture with arts, crafts, and the authors. The authors was a pretty neat addition, I thought, this year. There seemed to be more authors. Totally understand with the food. That was just a limited opportunity of who was available to participate. But in the future, if we could have more variety and more substance to the food. Band, I think we've already talked about that, and agree with the fireworks starting at 8 o'clock. I think probably what happened was we had the event in August before, and it didn't get dark until 9:15. So if we're going to have it in September, to definitely move it up to 8 o'clock. But overall, I think it was an outstanding event, and I think we should all be proud, and the community seemed to love it, and really we're happy to come and join us for the celebration.
Great. Anyone else? Good comments. Anyone? Okay. Joe, Gary, any comments on what we had to say?
Well, if Gary'd like to go first, I just have a couple, so I'll let him maybe have the podium, so to speak, Madam Chair.
Okay,
No, good, all good comments. They'll all be in my notes. And they'll be in the notebook for next year. A lot of the items that we talked about, we have done in past years, and the parade in our defense in the parade, that was a last minute thing this year. So I think we did pretty well for it being so last minute.
we did.
In all the other parades, we did have a theme, and I didn't know that the winner didn't know they won. That really surprises me. I'm going to check on that, because I thought Bree contacted them right away but let me check on that, because you're right. That's not right. So, but
I know
that's-
the owner, and she didn't know they won until I took Bentley to get groomed last Friday. She said, "Did we win?"
Well, and we did
Okay.
announce it at the opening ceremony, which I thought was a good idea.
Right.
But maybe we just need to follow up and make sure that the winner knows.
Sure.
Okay. Because she may not have
All
been
good
there.
comments, though. All good comments.
Okay.
I have a question. Did you all know that Corey and our cart was a copy of the logo? Because every little kid that we went past said, "Look, it's Frozen."
I knew that it was.
It was really good. You did great on those cutouts.
I feel like I need to go back to the signs. I'm out here in Ward 6. I drive a good long way past the Wildwood Town Center to get home, and I'm not the only one. And yes, we get stuff in the mail. No, people don't remember what they saw if they even open it because they're busy. We got to have some signs. And I thought we were going to have signs this year. And I checked and I saw not a single sign that served people driving past on Manchester Road. I was unable to attend because of a family commitment. So I feel kind of like I shouldn't be speaking here because I didn't even go. But on the other hand, I was thinking about the event and I saw no signs. So the people out here probably had no idea that it was going on. It seems like this whole thing is created for people who live right around town center and doesn't include those of us out here. So if there were signs that were inviting people to come who live out here, it would feel more inclusive. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I just felt like I had to contribute that.
Maybe, all right, this has come up for a couple of years. I'm
It sure
gonna
has.
make
Yep.
I'm gonna make a proposal that when we start planning, that signage is a priority for next year. And we really address this and we address it to where it's concrete. We know what we're gonna do. And if we have to spend a whole meeting on signage, the pluses, the minuses, then we do it. And we come up with some kind of a good compromise, because this has come up year after year after
Yep.
year.
Yep.
Is
And
there a
it always,
second to that motion?
I would second it. I'll third it.
How does anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Can you clarify that? Could you restate that, please?
All right, I think we make signage a definite priority for next year, and we work out how we want this done. And if we have to spend a whole meeting on it, then we do it. And we outline the pros, the cons, what can be done, working within the budget, and we come up with a definite plan for signage, because this has come up year after year after year.
Thank you for clarifying.
Mhm.
I want to make a comment, Susan. You know, we do have signage with all the on the light post, because I took an ad out and I mean, when you drive
Right.
into the town center, there's signage all over the place.
I
So I don't
realize
know
that,
how
but,
often they visit Wildwood.
So I will answer that for you, okay? So I think that I saw those signs and you saw those signs, but I saw a lot of people shop in the valley. You know, they go down there for Walmart and Target and Aldi and all those things for their groceries, or they go down Manchester Road. And so people that don't come in to downtown, the city of Wildwood, see all those signs. The people that come and do business in town do. And so the challenge is, how do we reach those people that live over off of Wild Horse Creek Road and don't have, you know, when they turn out of their neighborhood, they're already in the valley, right? They don't come over this way, and they are so Wildwood. And so how do you address that? And I don't know if the answer is to contact HOA associations and every single HOA put signs out just for that day. I don't know, maybe we ask businesses to, I don't know, but there has got to be a better way to reach those other places. I know that in years past, there was an issue with the electronic signs. And quite honestly, no matter what we do, somebody's going to be ticked off and somebody's going to be happy. I just think that we ought to do a better job at visually getting it out in front of people, because yes, it was in the West magazine a couple weeks. I think they mentioned it. It was in that the Wildwood flyer. But when people are busy running kids to their sports and doing everything that they have to do, sometimes you need that last minute sign so you can go, oh shoot, I forgot about that. I'm going to run over there.
Exactly.
That's the reality of it, whether it's the way it should be or not. That's the reality. So for what it's worth.
I got a question. Do we have an estimate yet on the number of people that attended, or is that just a guess at this point?
Mr. Garitano, I don't have an estimate on the attendance over the course of the event. One of the complaints has been that some of the vendors, the food vendors, ran out of food. That's because they were very busy, because we had large crowds the entire day.
So what I was thinking of is knowing that number, I think would help, because, you know, we are a city of 35,000 people, but, you know, even just getting people to do their civic duty to vote, we only get 15% of the population of registered voters. That's not even 35,000. So, and that's asking for, you know, a little bit of their time on a day to go vote. But I think it would be helpful to get that number if we have a way to get that. Another thing that we could do, and I'll be adding, we'll be talking about this in the Administration and Public Works Committee, is planning for a survey, a citywide survey. So maybe we can include a question or two about Celebrate Wildwood that asks, you know, did you attend this year or not? And perhaps a follow-up question, if you did not attend, maybe select a reason why, you know, commitments, didn't know about it, things like that. So at least we can kind of get an understanding of, get data. I mean, really, that's the thing. Let's get our hands on some data to know, so that we can invest our time in how do we let people know. So the Admin and Public Works Committee is going to start doing this work. It'd probably be a survey that would go out in the beginning of 2022. We want to plan it thoughtfully and think about all the questions. So this is just one committee. We're going to ask the others as well what questions should be included in this, but I think that's another opportunity for us to try to pinpoint what's holding back. And then ideally, what is our target number? Because I think this was probably the biggest turnout that I have seen so far. And this is coming from COVID, you know, a year after COVID started. So I think we had an incredible turnout, but we might want to get a sense of what is our target? What are we trying to shoot for? Because we may be close to that ceiling already, or maybe we can find out what it is that we have to do to get to it with that data, with that survey.
Gary?
If I can add this, like, a couple of times it's been mentioned that our vendors ran out of food, and they did. But those who saw that they ran out of food should have went back because the yellow tape would go up, they'd mark out they were out of food. But several of our vendors, they went out and got more food and they brought it back.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, and so basically most of the vendors timed it pretty well to around 9 o'clock. Some of them were done at 8:30, some of them 7:35. But when we bring the vendors in, it doesn't matter who we bring in for food vendors, whether it's going to be food trucks or the local vendors or what. There's two questions that are asked right away, and this goes along with Councilmember Garitano's comment about the attendance. The first question they ask is, how many people are going to be there, and what other foods are you serving? Because they don't want, if there's a duplication in foods, then it becomes a really fine line that we walk for the vendors. Although I know we want to please the people that are in attendance, we also need to please our vendors so that they come back the following year. And then if I might add one more thing, I just touched base with some of the vendors before the meeting this evening, just to find out how they did and what they thought of the thing. And all of them said they were extremely busy the entire day.
That's right.
The St. Louis Barbecue Society, they ran out of food, not once, they ran out of food twice, but twice they went out and bought more and brought it back. We had another lady who was a brand new vendor that we've used, Miss Becky Salsa Shack. She was overwhelmed, but she was so appreciative to be there. She didn't run out of salsa. She had a Pujols Foundation thing going along with her booth. She couldn't believe the generosity of the people who came to the event for their little jar for the Pujols Foundation. The shish kebab guys, he ran out of food too, but he replenished it and brought it back. And he got to serve shish kebabs all the way up until closing time. So people want to know how many people attended after the event. They want to know how many people are going to attend before the event too. So somehow we need to get a handle on that, because that would help out everybody involved.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe one quick follow-up, and maybe Gary, next year we could ask the Wildwood Police Department, maybe they can get their drone to kind of picture and you can kind of count heads or something like that. I'm sure there are mechanisms in place. I'm not going to design it. Sergeant Wenley knows probably good ways of figuring it out. But I think that the other thing too is that another good way to probably for us to determine is really how much of an issue parking was. And I can tell you, Taylor Road was packed. The parking spaces, the new spaces on Manchester had cars in them. And I remember one or two times going to the garage upper level, there was just maybe 2-3 spots open. And there were people parking over in the Deerberg Shopping Center. So, at some point we end up creating a new problem, and we have to start to solve for that if we exceed parking. But well, good feedback. Thanks for letting me comment on that, Susan.
You're welcome. Okay. All right. Anything else?
Susan, you had a motion on the floor about that.
Yes, I do. So I'm asking, there was Corey seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
You voted.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay, so the motion is carried. All right, the next thing on our agenda here is Gary, before we proceed, on your listing of all the events, is there anything else you want to say about that?
Of all the events for Celebrate Wildwood?
Yeah, that list
no.
that you put together.
No,
Okay.
that'll probably be a very similar list next year for 2022.
All right. So the next thing on there is other business items and the mayor's proclamation.
Madam Chair, there's actually an item still under number 5. And
Oh,
that's,
the budget process. Sorry, I missed it.
so with your permission, Madam Chair.
Mm-hmm.
So typically the Department of Planning and Parks provides to the commission at the next meeting, which is November, a summary of the expenditures for the past event, 2021, and also a proposed budget for 2022. Under the ordinance that enables the commission to do its business, it is to review a budget and make recommendation to City Council. So at our next meeting in November, you'll have that information for your consideration. And it falls into place perfectly with the budgeting process that the city goes through. We've started our budget process at the midpoint of September. We'll conclude it at the midpoint of December for 2022. So again, that's a key component of your responsibilities, and we'll have it prepared for you in November. Thank you.
All right. All right, so then the next item is other business and the mayor's proclamation. And do you want to speak to that, Mr. Bunich?
Well, maybe Mr. Garitano can as the council liaison.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
thank
right,
you for
Joe.
that. So I did speak with the mayor, and he is going to present a proclamation to all members of the Celebrate Wildwood Commission in recognition of your volunteerism and the work that you did to successfully execute this event here. And so therefore, and all of you and obviously the council is very pleased with what you've done here. So that will be at Monday night's city council meeting, which is the meeting that starts at 7 o'clock. That usually takes part in the beginning of the meeting. So if you're able to physically attend, you'll be able to receive your proclamation in person, and likely we'll take a photo, and that will be a nice opportunity for the council and the mayor to recognize your work that you've done for the Celebrate Wildwood event.
Well, that's great.
Sharon, you have a
Monday.
hand up? Sharon's trying to talk. I think you gotta unmute Sharon.
What date is that?
It'll be this coming Monday, October 11th.
Okay,
That's the-
thank you.
Meeting starts at 7 o'clock. So we usually
Okay.
do those in the beginning. So you're welcome to stay for the meeting, but not required. So that will be something that'll be really nice. So we don't do proclamations often. So this is something very special.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank
It
you very
really
much.
is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
By
Okay,
the way,
so it would
meetings
be
are fun.
nice if you're not busy, if you can make it Monday evening at 7. Okay. All right, is there anything?
Well, I did have one thing, Miss
Yes.
Bieber. We had Ken attending. We probably should get his input because he probably has some feedback from the scouts.
Ken, are you there?
Madam Chair, he
Yes.
is. With your permission, I'll promote him.
Okay. Yes, you have my permission.
Thank you, ma'am.
He deserves being promoted. He did a great job.
You should be on screen now.
Ken?
I can.
Hi there. We thought it was a successful event. Thought it was good.
Okay. The scouts really enjoyed it?
Yes, they did. Yep.
Good.
I will say, I was watching those boys with some of the kids who were over there, and they were really fantastic. You had a great group of boys there, and they are to be commended. They did a great job.
I thought so. Yep.
Okay. All right. Any suggestions, Ken? Yes, sir. Okay. All right, the last item on the agenda is our next meeting date, which is Wednesday, November 3rd. Okay. Other than, do I have a motion to adjourn for tonight?
Sure, I'll move.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned and hopefully everybody can make it Monday evening to City Hall.
Thanks,
Joe,
everyone.
Gary, thank you for all this information.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Okay, good night. Have a
Bye.
good glass